Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This is your host, Paul Metza. I have a great guest on tonight for the whole show. One of my favorite guitarists in Minnesota. This kid can play. His name's Sam Militch. He's from Grand Rapids, Minnesota. Up there right on the edge of the Iron Range. And he's got a great new record out called Peasants with Torches. He's driving around up there doing God knows what on the Iron Range tonight, but he was kind enough to take some time to talk to us. Sam, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Paul. I'm doing well.
What's the weather like up there?
Well, right now I'm en route on Highway 65, driving north from a gig I had in Northfield, moving up towards the northern part of the country, but we got blue skies serving Princeton, Malacca region, so we're anxiously awaiting getting back to the North Country.
Great. Where did you play in Northfield?
I played at a wonderful little studio called The Hot Spot down there, and I was doing a performance which is a combination of my original compositions as well as a speech that I wrote about mental health advocacy. So
we're going to get in a little later in the show about mental health issues and how you've dealt with them personally. But recently, and it puts the fear of God in any musician that follows you on Facebook like I do, you've been going through some pretty severe problems with your hearing.
Yeah, well, what wound up happening is on February 16th, I wound up having what's called sensorineural hearing loss in my left ear, and I basically went deaf in my left ear. Just woke up one morning and it was gone, and underwent some procedures at the Mayo Clinic, and have since had some recovery within the ear, and still within the healing period of things. But it's been tremendously challenging. But fortunately, my right ear is still good, so I'm grateful for that. And we're just moving forward with some pretty creative solutions using my Bose noise-canceling headphones as monitors. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. We're pretty creative about this, but, in essence, we, for the live performances, mixed the entire band into a board, which then, went out to the house, and then had another board where I had a couple of aux outs, and my headphones essentially worked as monitors for me, and I was able to sort of filter out the crowd noise with the noise cancellation, and had a really fabulous sound man and musician, Tony Axtell, help me. And
well, Tony was with great bass player, was with Gerson Keeler for years.
Yep, precisely, and that's how I knew him. Was I was on Keeler's show and he mixed that show, and so he just kind of came to my aid and helped me make these shows possible. So I'd love to hear more about that, not necessarily on this show, but you'll have to send me an email, Sam, because my friend Kenny Jacob, who was the first sound man when Cats on the Stars started playing electric in Minneapolis in 82, ended up going to MIT, took a class by Dr. Bose, and Dr. Bose hired him right after graduation to go to work for the Bose Corporation. And, oh, sure.
Yeah, and Kenny was, along with another gentleman or two, invented the Bose L1 system, which I know you're familiar with.
Yeah, of course, yep.
Yeah, and I play the Bose L1, just absolutely love it. But I'll have to get this information to Kenny. He will be fascinated by what you've been doing.
That's great.
With those.
Yeah, that's a great idea because Tony and I said, Tony's like, man, you should get in touch with Bose because this is kind of a remarkable thing that you've dreamt up here with doing for live performances. He said you would think that Bose would want to know about this. So yeah, it's kind of on my list of things to do. So.
Well, you've got my email, so when you get back up north and you get a minute, kind of capsulize it and send it to me, and I'll get it to Kenny. It sounds really fascinating.
That's fantastic. I'd love to do that.
So you have been playing guitar. How old are you, and how long have you been playing guitar?
Oh gosh, well I'm 34 now, and I picked it up when I was 13, so that's 21 years, I guess. Yeah, it's been quite a journey, I have to say.
Well, And I've seen recent pictures of you at 34. You've got the body of a 33-year-old, so you got to feel good about that.
Yeah. Oh, amen. Yeah.
And you've got a nice little family. I visited you when I was in Grand Rapids for, how many years ago was that? When I was up there at the library with talking about my book, Blue Guitar Highway. But you've got 2 kids? How many?
Yeah, I got 2 boys. I got an 8-year-old and a almost 6-year-old.
Wow.
6 on April 25th. So.
And that's got to keep you busy.
Oh, yeah, we're moving and shaking these days. So.
Right. Well, you come from a very musical family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us about that, Sam Militch.
Well, yeah, on my dad's side, kind of a fun connection that you and I share, but my dad's dad, my granddad, Matt Militch, was a upright bassist and was a product of the wonderful Iron Range music programs that they had, back in the 20s and 30s when he was in school. He graduated from Virginia High School, and he had an orchestra teacher named Vernon Malone.
Malone Hall. That's that is the music hall is named after him. When I would go, I did 3 years of senior high. Choir was at Malone Hall. In fact, I have, you would be interested in this, Sam, because I know you love your history. I have a book about the history of Mr. Malone and Malone Hall. And when you go back and you look at the sort of concerts that they were having back in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, it was phenomenal how cultured the area was even back then.
Yeah, I heard so many stories from my dad, Vernon Malone, and what a huge influence he was on my granddad and all those students in Virginia. And so, Granddad was really well-trained as an upright bassist, and then wound up graduating from the University of Minnesota with a degree in music, and played both classical and swing, because that was the music of the day. So,
right.
I grew up with jazz and swing music in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And that was from, the influence of my granddad, and my dad always loved that music as well. And my Nana on that side of the family was a classically trained cellist, very talented musician herself. And then, it was a big Iron Range family, Croatian Catholic family, and 10 kids, and basically every kid played music.
Right.
And, all my family gatherings were my uncles playing guitar in a circle, big jam session,
Well, I played with your Uncle Tony. He's a great guitarist as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I learned, was through those guys, It was just joining the family circle and being a part of the jam session, and that's how I learned to play.
What is that other musical family in Grand Rapids that is like you, has a lot of kids and they all play?
Yeah, well, there's the Downing family.
Right, the Downing, right.
Yep, there's the Downings, and then there was the LaPlante family as well. So there are numerous, big musical families in Grand Rapids. So that was always just a part of the fabric of life. I
got to know a lot of those Grand Rapids musicians through my friend Booka Michael. Have you met Booka over the years?
Oh, sure, yeah. Everybody knows Booka.
Everybody knows Booka, yeah, a phenomenal percussionist. He gets back up there to for a month in the summer on that beautiful lake, which is, I'm spacing on. What's that great lake there in, starts with a P?
Oh, yeah, Pokegama, right?
Pokegama, yeah. So he gets up there and plays when he's up there for the summer with his lovely wife, Edith. So I might have to, he's always inviting me to come up. So when I do, we're going to have to put a little gig together up there.
Sounds like a nice idea to me.
Sam, where did you, what's the genesis of the name of your new record, Peasants with Torches?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have a really good friend who's a visual artist named Tom Page, who's both a sculptor and a painter. And I can't remember how many years ago, 4, 5, 6 years ago, he put on these events that were sort of a multimedia artistic collaboration where we wound up renting a space in Grand Rapids, and he featured his paintings, but then he had other artists featured as well, writers, and then he had a musical portion of it. And, he wanted original music. And he titled these programs Peasants with Torches. And he wanted original music, and so I wrote pieces that I felt sort of went along with that spirit. And then I just basically said, Tom, can I use that as an album title? And he said, yeah, I'd be honored if you did. And his painting is the cover art of the album, and it was through that artistic collaboration that all came together.
Well, and it's really actually pretty timely, because when you think Peasants with Torches, you think back to the day, the 17th, 18th century, when the proletariat are going after those in power, and it couldn't be more timely, really. There was a little something behind that, I'm not going to lie. We have Sam Militch on, actually one of my favorite guitar players in Minnesota. He's got a new record called Peasants with Torches. We're going to listen to this gorgeous tune he wrote called Homesick, and we'll be back 3 more sets with the great Sam Militch on the Wall of Power Radio Hour.
Number one source of the Twin Cities gay scene is all digital. Follow Twin Cities Gay Scene on Facebook and Twitter. Sign up for the Scene Shot email blast for weekly updates and chances to win great prizes. No app is needed to view the bi-weekly web editions of Scene. It's GLBTQ media for the mobile generation. Find it all at TwinCitiesGayScene.com. That's TwinCitiesGayScene.com.
Hi, this is Laura with Food Freedom Radio, Saturdays at 8 a.m. Climate change is real, the soil's being depleted, and water's becoming more polluted. Knowing is not enough. Time for action. Go plant a garden. Stop pesticide use. Learn about CSAs. Seward Community Co-op is going to be hosting a CSA fair all day on April 27th. Or go to a barn dance in Red Wing, the Land Stewardship Project, on April 27th, 5 to 9. And listen to Food Freedom Radio, Saturdays at 8 a.m.
Hi, it's Tom Hartman. Continental Diamond is special for a lot of reasons. The owners are Jimmy and Helene Pessis, a husband and wife team who had a dream to open their own store more than 30 years ago. They've built a business that is the gold standard. The readers of Minnesota Bride magazine have named Continental Diamond the best jeweler for the last 7 years. Why? Amazing, friendly, no-pressure customer service, a selection of fine diamonds and design jewelry unlike anywhere else, and the fresh-baked chocolate chip cookies are pretty great, too. Continental Diamond in St. Louis Park and at ContinentalDiamond.com.
There's no question you need omega-3s. But which form should you take? Fish oil or krill oil? Scientists have debated this for years. Luckily, there's a new solution to satisfy everyone. It's called Krill Omega 50 Plus. It combines ultra-pure fish oil and joint-soothing krill oil together in just one tiny pill. It's so powerful, it can promote the health of your heart and your arteries. And if that wasn't enough, it can also boost your joint comfort in just days. We're so sure Krill Omega 50 Plus will work for you. We'll even send you a free bottle to put to the test. The debate is over. It's not fish oil or krill oil. It's both. And now it's free. Just pay $4.95 for shipping and claim your free bottle. Call now. 1-800-647-1579. 1-800-647-1579. That's 1-800-647-1579.
Seward Co-op, serving the community for nearly 45 years, invites you to shop their 2 convenient locations, both offering the strong commitment to local producers and healthy foods you've come to expect. Seward focuses on locally grown and raised products, fair trade, and environmental sustainability. Shop their selection of meats, artisan cheeses, and house-made baked goods. Find Seward at 2823 East Franklin Avenue or the Friendship Store on 38th Street and 3rd Avenue in Minneapolis. More at seward.coop.
Welcome back to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This is your host, Paul Metsa. My guest for the whole show tonight, great guitarist and Grand Rapids, Minnesota native, Sam Militch. Sam, you are a huge fan and play like Django Reinhardt.
Yes, yeah, Django was really kind of my first big jazz influence on the guitar.
Tell the people out there in the Wall of Power Radio Hour land who Django was and his importance in the history of jazz guitar.
Yeah, Django Reinhardt was a Belgian-born Roma man. We used to use the term gypsy, but I think Roma is more appropriate. And he was born in 1910, died in 1953, and spent most of his life in France and founded the group The Quintet of the Hot Club of France with the great jazz violinist Stéphane Grappelli. And Django is remarkably important in the history of guitar in general, because he was really one of the on the forefront of what we think of as lead guitar playing. And he was, in a sense, led the first guitar band, because he had two rhythm guitars, and then he was the lead guitarist, and then Stéphane Grappelli was lead violinist, and then upright bass. So it was an all-string ensemble. And it was, he was doing guitar band before the Beatles were. This is the 1930s.
There was a great, somebody posted it on Facebook a little over a month ago that Django came through Minneapolis while he was guesting with the Duke Ellington Band.
That's absolutely right. I think it was 1946.
Yeah?
46, 47. I could be mistaken.
Right.
But yes, he only did one American tour with Duke Ellington, and they played in Minneapolis, of all places. And so, that's sort of a fun little piece of Minnesota history, is that Django actually did step foot within the boundaries of the state of Minnesota.
Right.
So,
Cats on the Stairs, we used to have a little, we'd occasionally have a little riff. We talk about rehearsals that we go, my Spurs went Django Reinhardt.
Yeah. Nice.
That's inside baseball for musicians. But Sam, now, not only was he led one of the first guitar bands, but there was a fire in his trailer, and he only used his first and his index finger and his middle finger to play guitar.
Yeah, that's right.
Hit on his fretting hand, on his left hand.
Yeah, that's right. So he did all of his lead guitar work with, his first and second finger, with his thumb on the back of the neck. And so all of that lead work was done with those two fingers. And then he could sort of use his badly burned ring and pinky finger to sort of mash them across the frets to make certain chords. So in spite of a very serious physical disability, he still created some of the greatest guitar work ever known, which is really remarkable. So I've been sort of saying, I'm just like Django. I've got about as much hearing as Django had fingers on his left hand. That's what I got in my left ear. So, he didn't give up, so why should I?
Right, absolutely. And Sam, you also put with a certain amount of regularity, you put pieces that you're working on or you've written on Facebook, which are really delightful to listen to, and you put up some Django compositions, which I really enjoy. What I do every now and then, just to screw around, is I will occasionally take those two fingers and try to play Django-like solos without using my ring and pinky. Do you do that?
Absolutely. When I was a teenager, I was crazy enough that I taped my two fingers together to prevent myself from using them. And one of my gimmicks was I learned the entire transcription of Django Reinhardt's 1937, I'll See You in My Dreams, and I would play that whole solo two-finger style for performances. So, that was one of my little tricks.
Wow. Now, I know, too, like me, you're a huge Lenny Breau fan.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yes, Sam, you're like me, a huge Lenny Breau fan, one of the greatest guitar players, maybe the greatest to ever come out of Canada, and discovered by the great Chet Atkins.
That's right. Yep, Lenny has been just a mega influence. He's been, an influence on my playing, in recent years, every bit as much as Django was in the beginning years. And, it's, I do use the, fingers instead of a pick on my left hand, but I'm primarily used a pick for most of my career. But beyond that, what I'm really fascinated by is Lenny's harmonic sense. And,
they're incredible.
It's just the chords, the inversions that he uses, and these really tight harmonic clusters are what really move me. And so he's just been a massive influence as of late. Been studying his guitar work. And, in fact, I just finished a radio documentary, an hour-long documentary about Lenny, in which I interviewed both his daughter and his former bassist, who I met at a house concert. Yeah, I was playing a house concert up in Winnipeg, Manitoba a couple of years ago, and this guy, Ron Halderson, was there. And I was actually playing with Peter Ostrushko, and Peter said, hey, you might want to meet this cat. He says he knows Lenny. Well, I not only knew him, he recorded with him. So I wound up recording an hour-long interview with Lenny's daughter, Emily Hughes is her name, and we put it on KAXC up in Grand Rapids.
One of the greatest community radio stations in the country, KAXC.
Fantastic. And we wound up, my hope is to get it on PRX, Public Radio Exchange, and get it out there a bit more, and then also hopefully try and see if the CBC up in Winnipeg would be interested in having that program. So, yeah, Lenny has just been constant inspiration for me.
Well, and you're talking about the literal harmonies with his harmonic sense, but the other thing that cat had going on, maybe more than anybody, was his actual, how he played harmonics on the guitar.
Yes, the kind of harp harmonics,
yes.
The false harmonics. Yeah, where he would grab a chord, and, one of the remarkable things is he would do a false harmonic, 12 frets up from where the chord was, and he would make a harmonic on one string and then pluck the other string naturally and then alternate back and forth, so you have this sort of harp harmonic thing going on. And, he could just keep it going on for days. It would just be endless and this sort of ethereal beauty that would just ring out from the guitar. It's just incredible.
I had a guitar student 20 years ago who moved down to Nashville. He was going to make it in Nashville. Went to see Lenny Breau play in a little club, and after the gig was talking to Lenny. He goes, hey, I just moved down. Like, this is my first night. I'm looking for a place to stay. Lenny said, I'm looking for a roommate.
Oh, my gosh.
So he ended up moving in with Lenny Breau, and he brought me a cassette that he took. I wish I would have copied it, of Lenny sitting around the table at 3 a.m, sitting around the kitchen table playing guitar.
I've heard these kind of stories from, like different documentaries, about people just saying, he would stay up and play, until like 4 a.m. practicing. Going like, oh man, I got to, just obsessively trying to figure out, the next pieces of puzzle, so to speak.
Yeah. We've got
That's pretty remarkable.
Well, he was a complete artist. We have Sam Militch on. We're going to be listening to some of his new music off his record, Peasants with Torches. Stick around. I hope you're enjoying the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This is your host, Paul Metza.
Hi, this is Laura, and I want to tell you about my family's favorite thing. It's our wood stove. We bought it about 14 years ago from Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. And see, the wood stove has actually paid for itself because we can keep the main area that we live in toasty warm with this great moist heat. But more important than saving money, it has actually improved our lives. Having a fire simplifies life. It provides comfort. It sort of takes the chill out of winter.
I'm Peter Solak. In 1977, I started Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, and I experienced the simple joy of warming myself by a fire. I also realized that the place and the way we embrace fire has evolved in a diversity of forms and styles. So at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we have brought together the widest selection of our fireplace products and technical knowledge in the Twin Cities. Our mission is to use our knowledge to help you choose the design and function that is right for you and your home.
Visit Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces today and find the right fire for you.
Habitation Furnishing and Design is simply the best furniture design studio in the Twin Cities. What is a furniture design studio? It's a place where you'll find professional interior designers who are there to help you select the perfect furniture, a single sofa or an entire home. Our designers love making spaces exceptional. When you're shopping for furniture, it makes sense to talk to a professional. Habitation Furnishing and Design, 4317 Excelsior Boulevard in St. Louis Park.
I'm Nick Slavic, proprietor of the Nick Slavic Painting and Restoration Company. I speak nationally and internationally on the subjects of entrepreneurship, trades reform, apprenticeship, craftsmanship, and coding science. I've created a rigorous apprenticeship program where I find, train, inspire, and mentor young people in my craft. The result is an ultra-professional crew of craftspeople that cares about their work and your project. We're not like other contractors. Visit nickslavik.com. That's nickslavik.com to learn more.
Tune in for Philosophy Talk, the program that questions everything
except your intelligence.
Coming up, hacking the brain, beyond the five senses.
Can technology create new human senses beyond the normal five?
You mean like magnetoception or X-ray vision?
How about echolocation?
I have to admit, as a philosopher, I've always wanted to know what it's like to be a bat.
Hacking the brain, next time on Philosophy Talk.
Philosophy Talk, every Sunday at 8 a.m. and again at 2 p.m. on AM 950.
The entire buying experience with Rudy Luther Toyota is so worthwhile. Every new Toyota comes with Toyota Care, 2 years of free maintenance with every new Toyota purchased. Their super staff is wonderful, always ready to help. And there's the Luther Advantage Card. With every new and used vehicle purchase, you'll get 3 years of 10 cents off per gallon of gas at holiday station stores, as well as discounted car washes. The Luther Advantage Card keeps you happy in your Rudy Luther vehicle. Head on over to Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
With your AM 950 weather, this is Eric Nelson. Tonight will be mostly clear with the low around 50. Sunday, partly sunny with a high of 72 and the low around 47. Monday, rain and possible thunderstorms before 7 p.m. with a high of 52 and the low around 39. Tuesday, sunny with a high of 59 and the low around 38.
Whatever April showers bring this year, Standard Heating and Air Conditioning has you covered. Their triple savings sale offers $2,300 in savings on a new furnace and AC. Learn more about this great deal at StandardHeatingDeals.com. Standard Heating and AC, comfort you deserve.
Welcome back to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This is your host, Paul Metzger. My guest for the whole show tonight, Mr. Sam Militch, a fabulous guitar player. Grew up, still based in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. He's got a new record out called Peasants with Torches. Sam, I think it's important to talk about, for the people out there that are dealing with these issues, you are no stranger to mental health issues.
No, yeah, I'm intimately aware.
So tell us about what your journey with your issues.
Yeah, when I was 22, I had a really severe psychotic break, and I had another one when I was 30 years old, and I'm diagnosed with schizophrenia. And, I've recovered pretty substantially, though I still have my struggles. And a big part of my life has been mental health advocacy. And, I have to say over the past, 12 years, things have really changed and for the better. Mental health is far more a part of the dialogue of sort of everyday life now. It's like it's coming out of the shadows,
right,
so to speak. And I feel like I've been, a player in that scene here in Minnesota. I think, one of the primary issues that's, aside from the, sort of the personal suffering and anguish that comes with mental illness is, just people with mental health concerns being treated on par with other medical concerns.
Sure.
Where it's not something that's being viewed as some kind of character flaw, or, behavior isn't necessarily viewed as something that's flaky or, bad. It's an issue of the brain. And, even with this issue of hearing, you don't really hear with your ears. You hear with your brain. It's nerves, and the same is true of mental health. And, one of my analogies that I've used is when someone's in psychosis or someone's depressed, asking them to just act normally makes about as much sense as asking a blind man to see or a deaf man to hear.
Right.
It's the brain, and it's the master control center of human existence. and it's really hard, I think, sometimes for people to grasp that if they haven't had those struggles.
Right.
And so, I've tried to illustrate, my experience. I write about it. I speak about it. And I've kind of used my position as a performing artist to take up the microphone and talk about that experience. One, to sort of help people understand what psychosis means and how they could help a friend or a loved one or themselves, for that matter. And then talk about my own personal experience with, stigma, which we're even kind of moving away from the term stigma and just calling it what it is, discrimination.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And it's just another push towards sort of more inclusion and a greater understanding of what I would consider human diversity, because it is mental illness is a disability, but it's an invisible one.
Right.
And it's really hard to get compassion or sympathy for something that people can't see. And quite frankly, the same is true of hearing. People can't see it. When someone's in a wheelchair, you can open up the door for them because it's obvious, that needs to be done. But, the same is true for people with mental illness. And one of the things we have to do is if someone were to, say, have a physical disability while they're in a wheelchair and they can't maybe go as fast as other people, it sure feels good if someone slows down and walks beside you.
Mm-hmm.
And the same is true of mental health. We need people to slow down and walk beside us and have a sense of compassion about it. And so that's been a large part of my work, and I'm still very dedicated to that. It's a big part of my creative process to write about it and speak about it. And I think it just opens things up for a more compassionate world.
Right.
And I think that's our job as humans, is to care for one another,
Mm-hmm.
And I have an uncle, Joseph, who's a guitarist and just a phenomenal human being, one of the guys who taught me how to play. And he's a paraplegic.
I know Joe. I've known Joe for years, and I have nothing but respect and love for that guy. Say hi. I haven't seen him in years either.
I somehow knew. I just knew that you must know Joseph.
Oh yeah.
So that's a cool connection. But he has this phrase. He calls the rest of the world the temporarily able, because these things, they happen to us, like we're in these really fragile mortal bodies, and it's like the jazz standard. It could happen to you, and it's pretty simple. You want to treat other people the way you would want to be treated. So yeah, that's what I can speak to about that issue.
Well, you speak about it very eloquently and bravely. If you don't mind me asking, because for those of us that haven't experienced it, when you're in the midst of a psychotic episode, what is that like?
It's pretty much fear. It's scary. It's like you've lost your bearings on the world, and it's for people who have had this experience. It's like an unending, terrible acid trip that just won't stop. It goes on for months or years until people get help for it, and you lose confidence in yourself because you can't trust your own perceptions, and you misinterpret things, and everything sort of has bizarre, strange double meaning. Where for some reason this tree is transferring some kind of bad energy to me, and I don't know why.
Wow.
I've had auditory hallucinations, and even recently, like with this issue of my ear, I was given prednisone, a really powerful steroid, to try and help bring back my ear, but it brought on psychotic symptoms.
Wow.
So, sort of in the darkest days of this experience, this physical health experience, there's been a mental health component where I'm hearing the phantom sounds of tinnitus in one ear, the actual sounds of the world in my other ear,
wow.
and then hearing a choir of angels singing, which is a common hallucination that I've had in the past, and I'm hearing that, so I'm hearing three things all at once. And it's all inside my brain, you know. But yeah, that's what it is. And the primary thing is there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of confusion and disorientation. And to try and, you know, go about living as a human in the world while you're dealing with that, it's pretty tough. It's hard to function.
Yeah, no doubt. So your family, I'm sure, is aware of this to see if there's oncoming, if there's a episode oncoming. Your wife has to be a complete saint because not only is she married to a musician, she's married to a musician with this affliction that occasionally rears its head.
Yeah, she's a pretty remarkable woman, and, you know, fortunately, love is a very powerful thing.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
And,
is she a Grand Rapids gal?
Yeah, she is. Yep.
Cool.
Yep, grew up out down by Pekegma Lake there, and you know, I'm extremely fortunate because I have a really, really strong support network, both in my natal family and as well as my wife's family. And, you know, it takes some time to sort it all out, but we've kind of found a way of dealing, you know, a system.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we all have these familial issues that we have to sort out ways of how we get through it.
Right.
And, you know, life is all about adaptation, and that's what we've done as a family. We've adapted, you know, and that's sort of the name of the game with the whole human experience is adaptation.
Right.
You know, because life changes
and survival.
And survival. That's right. Resilience. You know, we have to be resilient, and because ultimately it's like we either fall down and we don't get back up, and that's not really a very fun option.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, it's like you fall down or get up. Well, I want to keep walking because I want to keep living. I don't know what the other side holds. You know what I mean? And
we need you here in Minnesota because you're one of the finest guitar players in a state, especially the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. I believe, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I believe that Minneapolis-St. Paul has, and the outlying areas like Grand Rapids with guitar players like yourself, has the greatest acoustic guitar scene in the world.
Well, we're very fortunate, man. We've got a very strong musical community. Twin Cities has got an incredible artistic community. And, you know, it's got a long history of that, which you know about. You've been on the scene, you've been with these players, and now you're seeing multiple generations of really incredible musicians. You know, one of my collaborators has been Dave Carr, who's in his late 80s.
Oh, yeah, Dave's amazing.
You know, Peter Ostrushko and I played together for years and years. I've played with Dean McGraw, you know, and then just all the way down to, you know, some of my own contemporary players that I play with, you know, Chris Bates on bass. It's just an incredible artistic community. We're very, very fortunate.
Sam Militch, have you ever had the pleasure of playing, with a man I consider to be the greatest acoustic steel string fingerstyle player in the world, and one of my old teachers, Tim Sparks?
Oh, God. You know, one of my very first lessons that I got as a teenager when I was, you know, getting into jazz was with Tim. And, you know, he was living over in Frazee, and I drove over to his house and, you know, got a lesson with him. And he knew back in the late 70s, I think my mom knew him. And she said, well, you know, you should hook up with Tim. If you're playing guitar, I got to hook you up with Tim Sparks. And, you know, we wound up teaching at a guitar summit in Fergus Falls where a bunch of, you know, Minnesota guitarists of all different genres were teaching. And he and I got to, you know, share some time together down there. So, God, he's phenomenal. This is a guy who's taking, you know, Russian classical music and klezmer music and putting it onto a guitar. You know, it's remarkable.
Absolutely. Speaking of remarkable guitar players, we're going to listen to Now's the Time by Sam Militch on his new record, Peasants with Torches, and we'll be back one more set with the great Sam Militch on the Wall of Power Radio Hour.
The #1 source of the Twin Cities gay scene is all digital. Follow Twin Cities Gay Scene on Facebook and Twitter. Sign up for the Scene Shot email blast for weekly updates and chances to win great prizes. No app is needed to view the bi-weekly web editions of Scene. It's GLBTQ media for the mobile generation. Find it all at TwinCitiesGayScene.com. That's TwinCitiesGayScene.com.
Hello, humans. This is me, Ellie Krug, with Ellie 2.0 Radio on Monday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m. This week's a talking head show with the theme of sparking change. I'll talk about something you'd not expect, the 1968 Miss America pageant, and how it spurred change in our country. We'll also revisit LeBron James' I Promise School in Akron, Ohio, which is making quite a difference in student lives. Ellie 2.0 Radio, engaging in real on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Art lovers, it's time to celebrate, learn about, and collect local art at the St. Paul Art Crawl, running April 26th to 28th. The Spring St. Paul Art Crawl, presented by the St. Paul Art Collective, is a must-do experience that you will love. Over the weekend, you will have the chance to explore a wide variety of art while touring through local artist studios, lofts, and galleries. Up for purchase will be paintings, photography, pottery, sculpture, fiber arts, and more. The Art Crawl sprawls over 34 locations. Join the Art Crawl and discover outstanding art for your own. And when you buy local art, you're providing to artists so that they may continue to create the art we love. The Metro Transit is supporting the local art community too, with free transit passes. Download your pass to ride buses and light rail for free during the Art Crawl. Be sure to get details at stpaulartcrawl.org. That's stpaulartcrawl.org.
Hello, fellow AM 950 listeners. This is Jasia from Nightingale at 26 in Lindale. Come experience our delicious signature dishes and exciting rotation of inventive seasonal fare from my wife and chef, Carrie, and her team. Nightingale is the perfect place to gather for any occasion, with our extensive wine, beer, and cocktail selection, along with our dedication to great service. We offer a full menu every day from 4 to 1 a.m., 2 award-winning daily happy hours, and weekend brunch at 10. More at nightingalempls.com.
This is New Beginnings, hosted by award-winning broadcaster and speaker Freddie Bell.
Freddie, this generation of the baby boomers, people are living longer, so the baby boomers are taking care of elderly parents.
Let's talk about your health, and specifically, let's talk about Medicare. Our show features the concerns of America's 78 million baby boomers in employment, finance, health and nutrition, and even entertainment.
Catch New Beginnings with Freddie Bell, Saturdays at 11 on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Welcome back to the last set on the Wall of Power Radio Hour. Hope you're enjoying this show with my guest, Sam Militch. This is your host, Paul Metsa. We just listened to a little bit of Martha's Dream off Sam's new record, Peasants with Torches. Sam, how can people track you down and tell us when you're coming down to the Twin Cities? People would love, now that they've heard some of your music and listened to your story, I'm sure would love to hear you play live.
Yeah. Well, you can always figure out where and when I'm playing. I'm at sammiltich.music.com.
And that's MILTICH.
Yep, that's right. Yep. You can check out where and when I'm performing down in the southern reaches of the state. This new record is coming out, and we're going to do sort of an online release here before long. We're going to get some press out on it, and we got it up on CD Baby, where you can, get your physical copy of the CD, or you can do your download. However you do it these days, there's lots of different ways to skin a cat in terms of audio these days. So we're making all of that available. So you can check it out. Just punch in my name at cdbaby.com, and that's going to be there. That's how you can get a hold of the record and find out where and when I'm playing.
And our good friend, mutual friend, Rich Mattson, was recorded at his studio, Sparta Sound. It sounds phenomenal. Isn't Rich got a cool thing going on up there?
Oh, God, yeah. I just love recording at that spot because, I'm like, an hour away from home, and it's just the most chilled and relaxed environment. I've never been happier than I was in that studio recording. And, kind of fun story. Rich is actually a second cousin of mine.
Really?
His grandmother and my granddad were siblings. They're brother and sister. And we didn't really know each other until a few years ago. And then we just I knew his mom, and she just kept saying, like, you got to get together with my son. He's a musician. And we finally hooked up, and now it's like, God, this is like, in terms of how we work together, it's a match made in heaven. It's just phenomenal.
Well, I highly suggest. I've listened to Peasants with Words. It's just a wonderful record. Sam, we've got about 4 minutes left here, Sam. Now, besides being just a phenomenal guitarist, a great musician, and good family man, you've also been taking your boys out, and you've been tapping trees to get some maple syrup.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Tell us about that.
I'm an avid outdoorsman. That's my other passion. And I've been tapping red maple trees up at the 60 acres my dad has kind of northeast of town. And, I love hunting. I love fishing. I mean, I grew up in northern Minnesota. I grew up on the range, and that's just the kind of stuff that we do, you know. And I never wanted to make a life in a metropolitan area because this was my other passion with outdoors stuff. And I just knew I needed that to be a part of my life. And, we're creating a nice little artistic scene up in the North Country.
Right.
There's good stuff going on. There's people that are, painting. There's people that are sculpting. There's musicians. Rich is a fine example of that. And they're finding a way to carry on.
Well,
so, yeah, the trees have been tapped. We're going to probably get about 3 gallons of syrup, which means that's like, 80 bathtub loads of sap that you have to boil down. No, it's not that much, but it's a long process. But if you enjoy doing it, it's wonderful.
So tell us quickly, how does the process work? What time of year do you go out to tap the trees? How long does that take? How do you take all the sap back and then boil it down to that great syrup?
Yeah, it's basically when your days start getting above 32. And the evenings get beneath 32, that's when the sap really starts to flow. So we've been doing it for a couple weeks now, and I don't have a massive operation. I do like 20 trees, and I just have a hand drill bit, and you just drill your hole, and got some taps from L&M Supply, and put them in there, and take a couple of I just use juice jugs that are left over, pop a hole, and hook them onto it, and then every day, me and my kids just go out and collect the sap, pour it into a 5-gallon bucket, and then bring it into the house and strain it and get all the junk out of it. And we just boil it right down on the stove in the house. And your house smells like an IHOP. It's like maple flavor everywhere. So.
I love IHOP now that I'm plus 55 for those cheap pancakes.
Yeah, there you go.
but I also, it's funny you mentioned L&M Supply because there used to be one on the north side of Virginia when I was in, was I 7th grade? And they also sold records at L&M Supply. Yeah, and that's where I bought my first copy of Neil Young's After the Gold Rush was at L&M Supply.
Oh, fantastic. God, I love that album.
Oh, it's my favorite Neil Young record, really.
Yeah, me too.
So, Sam Militch, what, when you're not playing or rehearsing or writing, what do you like to listen to?
That's a really good question. I have a really wide range of stuff that I like to listen to. Actually, recently, just because of the way my hearing's gone, I've been listening to a bunch of Jaco Pastorius. Because,
I love Jaco.
Yeah, like one of the things that happened is like my bass hearing came back. So when I put on these Bose headphones, it's like it sounded like I was hearing equally because I'm listening to like a Jaco record where he's playing like solo electric bass, and it's like, oh God, this is like. So I call it my Jaco therapy. I put my headphones on and listen to some fretless electric bass. So yeah. Anyways, right before you called, that's what I had on my headphones.
One of my favorite top 10 records of all time is Bright Size Life with Bob Moses, Pat Metheny, and Jaco Pastorius. Of
course.
And then anytime Jaco's with Joni Mitchell on there, I've got every record. We've had Sam Militch on for the whole show. Sam, I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your honesty. I love your music. And you and I got to do a gig together here one of these days. Just two guitars.
Happily.
Yeah. And so,
Happily.
So is it sammilitchmusic.com or just sammilitch.com?
SamMilitchmusic.com.
And that's M-I-L, and that's...
T-I-C-H.
What the hell is
That's
that?
right.
What was that?
No, sorry, let me try this again. Yes, it's SamMilitchmusic.com.
M-I-L-T-I-C-H. Sam, thanks so much. I look forward to seeing you. I'm going to get up there in a couple of weeks, up to the range. I've got a couple of projects I'm working on. I'll give you a buzz. Maybe we can get together for lunch.
I'd love it.
Thanks for listening to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This show is produced by Paul Metza, engineered by Brett Johnson, in the studios at AM 950 in Eden Prairie, which is neither Eden nor a prairie. We want to thank our guest this week, Sam Militch. I want to invite you out to see me play. I play every Thursday night at Shaw's Bar with the great Willie Walker and or Sonny Earl, depending who's on the road and who's in town. 16th and University in Northeast Minneapolis. Follow me at paulmetza.com, and if you are a business or have an event coming up and want to advertise to a very committed audience, get hold of us at comments at AM950. They will direct you to me. Like my dad used to say, remember to be kind and make someone happy.
Tune in for Philosophy Talk, the program that questions everything
except your intelligence.
Coming up, hacking the brain, beyond the five senses.
Can technology create new human senses beyond the normal five?
You mean like magnetoception or X-ray vision?
How about echolocation?
I have to admit, as a philosopher, I've always wanted to know what it's like to be a bat.
Hacking the brain, next time on Philosophy Talk.
Philosophy Talk, every Sunday at 8 a.m. and again at 2 p.m. on AM 950.
Native Roots Radio is proud to announce we've added an extra hour.
Yeah, Chushke, 1 hour goes by too fast.
That's right, Uncle Curtis.
I'll have extra time to share important information about our secret animals.
And report national and native news from all over the country and Canada.
This new hour is sponsored by Robbins Kaplan LLP, dedicated to redefining excellence for high-stakes litigation representation in Indian country.
We are awake.